We've all heard it before. In the beginning, God created. But in the beginning, He also passed that job along to us. Here's what I mean. In the beginning, God created. There was light, there was dark. He made animals, the day, the night, the land, the sea. He made man. And generally, that's where it's left. But there's a very important verse right in the middle of all of that. One of my favorites, actually. It's Genesis 2:19. It says, God created all of the animals of the land and the birds of the air. And here's my favorite part. It says, and then He brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever He called them, that was their name. First of all, what must that have been like? I like to think about what Adam was doing as God began strolling down the path in the garden towards Adam. Also coming down the trail, a giant animal with a nose that swung all the way to the ground. Another large round beast covered in fur with paws the size of his head. And then, one after another, they began to parade past. How long must that have taken? I always wondered if He had to get back to them after a while. Did they come by a few times, or did they hang out for days or weeks at a time until He had thought up a good name? I've said it before, but I always find myself drawn to the bits in the Bible that we don't know anything about. Here's why this is so important. We all know that God created. We all know that God formed beauty from nothing, light from dark, and all of that. But for most of us, we assume that's all that God had planned, that He creates and we watch and appreciate. But the most amazing part of this story is that God handed off the job of creating to Adam. Sure, in the beginning, God could have created the animals and spent another day calling each one forth with a name of magnificent splendor, and then let the world know what their new divinely ordained name was. But that's not what He did. Yeah, God created. God created beautiful and amazing things. And then He turned to Adam and said, so what are you going to do with these things now? You see, when God created man, He did so in His image, which means we are crafted after God's own spirit. We're crafted after an infinitely creative God. We are created in the image of pure imagination. We are created in the image of our Creator, which means we were created to create. One of the very first things that God called Adam to do was to use his imagination, to create something, to come up with something, and whatever he came up with, that's what it was. The verse is pretty clear in pretty much all the translations. It ends with, and whatever Adam came up with, that was their name. There was no approval process. God didn't say, here's a bunch of animals, take a shot at naming them, and if your ideas are lame, I'll take over. No, God said, look at this amazing stuff that I created. Now I want you to do something with it. Now it's your turn to be a part of the creative process. You make something amazing with these pieces. The most beautiful part of all of it is that it's no different now than it was in those first days in the garden. God created and then passed the baton to Adam and said, now it's your turn. In that same way, God created us. He created in us beautiful dreams, passions, gifts, and talents. But He won't do anything with those for us. All of that is up to us. God created in us, and He wants to create through us. God leans in and says to us, look at who I created you to be. Look around. These are all of the amazing things that I have created. And now, I want to see what you're going to do with them. It's your turn to create amazing things. It's your turn to take what God created and build on it in a way that only you can. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with who God has created you to be? With what He has created you to do and to become? Because all of us, each one of us, were created to create in a million different ways from a million different callings. Yes, in the beginning, God created. And then He said, now it's your turn. So pack up your stuff. Make a plan. Sketch it out. Write a song. Build something. Make someone laugh. Why? Because you, yes you, were created to create.